Lesson 99 is about something called the Pythagorean theorem. A theorem is just an idea or a property that holds true in mathematics. Pythagoras was a Greek mathematician who is credited with developing this theorem, and basically what it is, it deals with right triangles. A good right triangle to use as an example is a 3, 4, 5 right triangle, one where the longest side is 5 units long. Now, the longest side in a right triangle, it has a special name. It's called the hypotenuse. There won't be any other times where you use the word hypotenuse except when you're talking about the longest side of a right triangle. So it's kind of easy to remember that word. It doesn't have any other meanings other than the longest side of a right triangle. Now, it just so happens if you square the hypotenuse, that is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. We can just do the math on that. 5 squared is 25. That's equal to 3 squared, which would be 9, plus 4 squared, which is 16. 25 equals 9 plus 16, right? That's the Pythagorean theorem. The hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. We can represent this algebraically using letters. A squared equals b squared plus c squared. We could have said x squared equals y squared plus z squared. I mean, the letters don't really matter. It's just that relationship. Where a is the hypotenuse, a squared equals b squared plus c squared. You'll be using this formula a lot in the next few years, so it'd be a good idea to memorize it. Let's do a few problems on this. Look at practice problem A. Solve for that missing side A there. You can use the Pythagorean theorem to do that. Hypotenuse, or longest side squared, so that would be 13 squared, is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. 12 squared plus a squared. We're solving for a here. Let's go ahead and figure out what 13 squared and 12 squared are first. That would be 169 and 144 equals a squared. Subtract 144 from both sides, or add a negative 144, however you want to think about that. That'll cross out there, and we're left with 25 is equal to a squared. Now, what times what equals 25? 5 times 5 equals 25, right? So a equals 5. That would be the length of side A. We haven't described any units for this particular triangle, so we don't have to worry about writing units down for our answer. We just say that that is 5 units long. Look at problem B. I want you to find the perimeter of that triangle. We have a missing side there, but we see it's a right triangle, so that means we can use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for that. Now, how do we know which side is the hypotenuse on this one? It's always the side opposite the right angle. So it's that side. That's always the longest side in any right triangle. That's the hypotenuse. So we don't know that side. We'll just give it a name, x. We'll use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for that unknown side, and then we'll go ahead and figure out the perimeter. So let's just use the Pythagorean theorem. The hypotenuse squared is equal to 12 squared. Let's just do that in our head, 144, plus 9 squared, which would be 81. 144 plus 81 is equal to 225. Now, all these problems you're going to be doing right now with the Pythagorean theorem, there will always be two integer values or whole number values that you can multiply together that will give you your unknown. It won't be some weird decimal numbers. So Think of two numbers multiplied together that would give you 225. 15 times 15 equals 225. So x equals 15. Now we can go ahead and find our perimeter. We can just say P for perimeter is equal to 12 plus 9 plus 15. Add those together. 12 and 9 would be 21 plus 15 would be 36 inches. And we have to remember our units on that problem. The question was, what is the perimeter around that triangle? So the Pythagorean theorem, that's a formula that you'll want to memorize. The hypotenuse, which is always the side opposite the right angle, that side squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Okay, well that's all for lesson 99.